Welcome to another edition of Vigorously with me, Val Kleinhands. Scottish rock duo Vukovi are in the building. Well, Jeanine is here. Jeanine is
Ow!
gracing us with her presence. I am
Hello.
thrilled to have you, but you are a duo. We want to acknowledge that as well.
Well,
Welcome.
I will say Hamish sends his apologies. He's actually through that wall editing our latest music video. Um,
Oh,
so
okay.
yeah,
Important stuff.
yeah.
Important
So I'm
stuff.
I'm I'm tag teaming here.
You, we don't want to. I love the honesty too. We don't want to stop him from doing that because we want the new video. My favorite thing is just about Scottish culture in general is the no bullshit approach that's taken, just like that moment right there,
Oh,
where
we
you're
are
like, I'm going
just
to be completely real.
honestly, what you see is what you get. That's us. That's Vukovi. We don't like to hide our feelings or emotions.
Absolutely. Well, that was going to
Yeah.
be my question. Do you feel like you approach your music? Do you approach Vukovi the same way?
Oh God, yeah, it comes from such a raw and delicate place. And I guess when you then build it up into Vukovi, which is also a brand and a business, you have to think of these things as well. But it's such a, I think that is probably why it is so hard to be an artist creating something again from quite a primal or raw place, and it's very delicate, it's very vulnerable, and then you give it out to the world, and you're like, fuck,
Mm.
that's now in their hands, and it's very hard to try and detach from the emotional side, like the emotional side of it. And I think I've only recently started noticing a pattern, like when we do release albums or music with certain, meanings behind it. Like it does really affect us,
Mm.
because it's such a vulnerable thing that you're doing. But I never used to think it did, and then you sort of notice a pattern, like, oh, I actually get these wee dips when we release a song because I've just aired my soul to the
Yeah.
to the world.
It can be scary. It can be
And it's yeah,
intimidating. Yeah. But it's important, I think, as an artist. It's the
well,
cornerstone of what you do.
exactly. It's like having so many people connecting with our music and saving lives, um, and inspiring people like that. That for me is it was nothing I ever expected would ever happen. Um, but it's yeah, definitely it makes you definitely not feel as alone. Because
Mm,
sometimes I think when you
right.
do create and you're sort of, I think our music quite feels quite journal vibes. We're
Hmm.
sort of in a certain state of mind at that time and pours out into our music, and that's who
Yeah.
we are at the time. But it's yeah. Sorry, it's just it's such a weird thing to talk about because we've only just started doing some interviews about this album, and so actually talking about the journey now, I feel like I've needed to do this
It's
to really
real.
like reflect. Yeah, it's
Yes.
actually happening.
And now the shit has hit the fan. It's real. It's coming. January
Yeah,
24th. We've got our
yeah,
calendars marked. I mean,
amazing.
my God has got a gun. The title, incredible to begin with.
It's
Let's
ambitious.
it's ambitious. It is
Yeah,
attention. It is
it's
attention
Vukovi.
grabbing.
Yeah.
It's attention grabbing. So where does that originate? Tell me about the concept because I watched the Gung Ho video and I feel like there's some clues here that it might be a bit of a concept album.
Yes, there's I don't really want to give like I don't really want to say too much of detail because I like the people that I have let hear this album. I've not really told them anything, and to
Mhm.
hear their take on it has been so fascinating.
Yeah.
I love it. Like I just to hear some what they feel from it or what they think it is. We had a guy, one of our friends, like listen to it, and he was like, there's like an event that's happened, and I can't quite figure out what the event is,
Hmm.
and I want to know more. And I'm kind of like, "Oh, do I want to tell people, or do I want folk to sort of start piecing bits together? Because there's hints of everything in all the videos. There's hints of things, and um, to me, this album is very much like a purge of trauma,
Yeah.
and like I sort of reflect it. I sort of like as an imagery sense. it's an event of like an exorcism or something, like something is purging out of a body,
Mm-hmm.
you know, whether it's a demon or it's some sort of entity that you've managed to face up to and forgive and let go.
Mm-hmm.
And the album is it is quite traumatic sounding at times, but it's also about healing as well.
Yes.
Um, this album, uh, well, especially, you know, lyrically, I was going through some really intense therapy that I'd never really done before, like really committed to it, like to the process. And I did 12 sessions and I painted after each session because for me that was just I didn't know have sometimes you don't have words, so you don't know how to sort of express
Yeah.
you know how you feel at the time, or so I would just paint. And then so this album is really part of the torture of people wanting to heal and get better.
Yeah.
It's terrifying.
Yeah.
And again, I can listen back to this album now and I can see more hindsight and where I was mentally at the time. The things that there's a lot of things I say that I'm like, wow, I don't really feel like that now, but at the time I did. So I'm like, well, that's how I felt at the time.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, the concept is very much sort of with My God Has Got a Gun. You know, you can look at it politically as well. I won't go into that too much just now, but um, it's the
You
I guess
can.
it's
You're talking to an American audience that's exhausted by politics right now. I mean, honestly, it's just
I
been a shit
bet
show.
I bet. I mean, I feel
Either
like
either side.
My God Has Got a Gun. It's, you know, for me, I think a lot of capitalism and control right now
Yes.
is church and state.
Right.
Uh, I would say America more so than Britain, definitely. But
Yeah.
I know a lot of, you know, the abortion laws, and it's, you know, it's been horrifying, and that's something that has angers a lot of people, and it's not just women. It's angered
Yes.
a nation, and
Yeah.
this isn't about a man hating. It's not. It's about equality, but it's also about bringing I think with Vukovi, it is about bringing a community together,
Hmm.
and it's accepting everybody. Everyone's accepted. It doesn't matter what you know, religion or class or gender. I just feel like there's so much what's the word? Like separation with
Yeah.
different
It's
scenes
divisive.
and beliefs. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
like sometimes if you just get in a room with people that have different beliefs, if you have a 30-minute conversation with someone, your outlook becomes very different just by talking to other people and
Hmm.
learning from each other. And I think that has always been a thing of Vukovi. It's bringing that kind of encouraging that. And if you would believe it if you came to one of our shows. It's so
Yeah.
mismatched. Like there's just every type of person and culture, and it's like it's so magical, and I can't wait. I really can't wait to play this album live and
Yeah.
see how it affects people. Sorry, I went in
Per-
a total
It's
like
okay.
yeah.
You can't talk too
I've,
much on a podcast.
okay,
You can't.
that's fine.
You can't. I mean, American like terrestrial radio, that what I used to do, they would limit you, but now I don't care. It
I
doesn't
don't.
matter.
I'm
You,
the
you're
same.
doing your own thing.
We don't fucking care.
We don't
Yeah,
care.
I think there's so much to talk about. Honestly, like it's so
Yes.
there's
It
like
means so
yeah,
much to you.
there's
I
a
get
lot
it.
of layers to this album, and
Yes.
I would love people to digest it and sort of try and put some wee pieces together and some little hints, and
Right.
before I really delved into like the sort of darker concept of it.
Right. I was gonna
Um,
say the clues that I was getting. And first off, let me give you
tell
your
me, yeah,
flowers.
tell me
Okay.
everything.
Let me give you your flowers first, though, because the gung ho video, let's come correct on this. We need to understand that you have directed it, you have styled it, you've done the artwork, the concept is essentially yours. That is you. That's
Yeah,
incredible. Like you specifically, Jeanine. I mean, I'm like, oh my goodness, and the art, just the artistic imagery that we're getting when we watch the gung ho video. It's similar to the painting that's
Oh,
behind you for
that's
anybody
what I
that wants to
mean.
reference. I know it's similar to the
Yay,
painting that's
thank
behind you.
you.
The big pops of contrast with reds and
Yeah,
blacks and whites, and I was getting a few horror themes and a few like horror callbacks too. During certain moments, I mean, we're stabbing teddy bears. We've got
yeah,
mysterious people chained up behind us. Like
yeah.
there,
That's all
there's
what's
some
up.
there's some callbacks to horror. So I mean, I'm a horror nerd too.
Same.
Did you feel like there were callbacks to specific movies or horror related games when you were doing this?
I think I love film and TV. Like I'm obsessed.
Mhm.
I watch, and then same with Hamish. And I will say Hamish was the one that pushed the artwork. Like
Oh,
there
okay.
wasn't the plan, and it was him that was like, no, we should use this. We should use all this. And when we are doing videos, like I always like Hamish's opinion because I always think he has like that level of coolness that if he says something's cool, I'll be like, it's gonna be cool then.
Yeah.
So I need to give Hamish his credit as well. Um, but yeah, in terms of the horror aspect, like I'm a big fan of like A24, Ari Aster, obviously Kubrick,
Hmm.
David Fincher, David Lynch. Like there's just so
Yes.
um, that Gaspar Noé. Like a huge film buff. Same with Hamish. He is more of a gamer than me as well. But I always like to have. I think with people like Stanley Kubrick, like his films are terrifying, but there's also a lot of undertones of horror. It's not
You can't
like
look away. Yeah.
yeah, it's like I love the subtleness of like there's some I feel a bit. I mean, obviously I'm stabbing fuck out of Teddy in Gung Ho, so I mean that's pretty straight up like violence. But
Yeah.
um I like that I like the effect having well I don't know if I actually achieve this but this is what the goal is and I'm working on it and I'm definitely still learning so much all the time
Hmm.
but I like watching something and as you said you can't take your eyes away but you're like there's something that makes me feel unsettled right now and I can't really put my finger on it and I think this album is another representation of that horror aspect. There's a lot of I did a lot of the blood curdling horror screams in it, and I want you want this dark undertone because at the end of the day, like that's how I felt at the time. Like I felt like no matter how much healing I was trying to do, there was always this shadow on my back being this is hell. Like
Yeah.
you're in hell right now.
Yeah.
And that is again I think this album you could probably say as a whole piece it is more of a concept and it's one piece of art and it's all connected rather than oh these are the singles and they're all fillers. I feel like that every track has its reason and its place
Hmm.
and at that and again it's quite scary to commit to something like that because that might not always get instant success or people might not click with it or whatever but all we have ever done is been ourselves and people have accepted that and accepted us and connected with it and that's what's kept us going
Yeah, that's a key
um
part. I think of anybody in music that's trying to like really make it, that authenticity is so necessary anymore because people are the fans anyway are beginning to see through the bullshit. We're beginning
yeah
to see
yeah
through the glitz, the glamour, blah 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 blah. We can separate what's Hollywood from what's real. And I was just curious if you thought another component that would make somebody in music successful was having a varied skill set like you and Hamish have when it comes to doing so much of it on your own.
yeah
You two have the ability to do that technologically and with videography and art, and you've got a variety of
yeah
skills. Is that helpful when it comes to making it in the music world?
I think so yeah I definitely think like if you have a vision or for who you are and what you want to achieve this is something I've learned as well. Like, not everyone can see inside of your brain. So there's
Yeah.
only so much that you can try and put across to someone. Um, and I guess that comes down to like picking the right people around you to work with as well. Like we can't do everything on our own. Like we have some amazing people around us that make all of this happen. But it's first of all having the right people around you that are in similar tastes, but also you have to be a sort of jack of all trades, because if there's things that you just don't know and you have to rely on other people that are out with your band, they don't get it like you do. Like no one knows your band or your art as much as you do.
Mm.
And I think fans want to see that. They want to see you. They want to see what you create. Like we still design most of our merch, like all of our production and our sets, like everything's us. But that's not to say that we don't work with other people. That is done because we have incredible people around us that get the vision
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah. And they're important. It's that you were talking about community. That's part of building that community.
Yes,
That's
friends and
goes hand in hand.
enjoying it. Also enjoying it. Like I've learned this year in particular, and I'm in a obviously you have ups and downs, but I think in a general level I'm the happiest I've ever been. And I think having that community of people around us has been so important, and to be able to enjoy it like
Hmm.
with your friends and people that you love, and you know creating things and not resenting it. Like
Yeah.
you want to have that balance of like, I'm enjoying this and I want to enjoy it.
Hmm.
Um, but it's not always as simple as that sometimes.
No, and I have to wonder if maybe coming from, like we were talking about earlier, a place where it's no bullshit and that's part of the culture. I have to wonder if that makes it easier to suss people out when it's time to decide who's part of your team, who's part of your community, and who isn't. Because the American way is let me be as incredibly fake as possible to get what I want. And
I can't cope with
sometimes
that.
it's hard to see through.
Yeah,
Sometimes it's hard. Sometimes it gets hard to see through, and there are certain tells where you can separate the two, but sometimes it can be hard to see through because we want to pretend that everything's okay. Here in our culture, we want to
yeah.
pretend that everything's fine and everything looks amazing. So I have to wonder if culturally, maybe that's to your benefit when we're talking about building a team.
Oh, I mean, it's we've always had to do that.
Hmm.
There's no point in working with someone that you're not on the same wavelength, and that doesn't mean that they're better than us or we're better than them. It's just not it's not connecting with what our
Hmm.
vision is. I sometimes I think that you need to have a certain personality to work with us as well, because there's a lot of chaos within Vukovi, and a lot of like here we fucking go attitude. But we do take this really serious, and if someone doesn't do the job the way we wanted it to go, then we won't work with them again, and that's business. That
Hmm.
isn't personal. That's nothing to do with their character. Or their worth at all.
Yeah.
It's the same with us getting no's and rejected. Like, you have to move on.
Mm. Yeah. What is the origin story for us that are still getting to know you of Vukovi?
Um, so we when we started the band, well, when I joined the band, Hamish was already in a band called Wolves, but they got rid of the lead singer, and I went and like jammed with them because I knew the drummer I went to school with,
Hmm.
and we just sort of hit it off, to be honest. And we had absolutely no idea what we were doing, like no idea.
Yeah.
Never been in a band in my life, and um, we changed the name. But I really want to tell you some exotic story about me running away with a Russian circus or something, and it was called Vukovi. But honestly, we put wolves into Google Translate, and Vukovi it was wolves in Serbian,
Oh, okay.
and
That's what it is.
Croatian, yeah.
Okay.
And we were like, fuck it,
Let's
there
do
we
it.
go, done. But I did go through a stage where I was telling a really mad story about me being in the circus as a snake charmer, and I was actually Serbian. And then I remember our manager at the time was like, stop doing that.
I mean, that's a better story. That's a better story to me. That entertained me, and I would have believed it.
Well,
With every,
honestly, it was exciting.
Mhm.
Um,
I loved it. That's great.
so yeah.
So we know that the album is on the way. What else are we looking forward to? What are we excited about when it comes to Vukovi?
Um, I think the next two singles are going to be interesting because they are so different from anything we've ever done. Both of
Mhm.
them, and they're both very different from each other. Um, and I wouldn't say, I don't know, it's so hard to like. It's exciting, but it's terrifying at the same time.
Mhm.
Um, but the tour is like definitely up there. It's the biggest tour we've ever done, and
Yeah.
yeah, uh, yeah, and I think like we've got some nice festivals for next year. I don't think we've announced any of them yet, and I think we'll do another tour at the end of next year. It's really I'm really trying to to live in the moment and not spiral too much about the future because things happen so fast and so unpredictably sometimes. It's so hard to
Right.
keep up and control some things that you just can't control. Um, but yeah, it's a mad time. Honestly, it's so surreal. It's so surreal. Like the journey to now, it feels mad. And
It's a
actually,
celebratory time.
yeah,
That's what I'm hearing.
it's
It's a
exciting.
celebratory time. Like this coming year is going to be the party where you get to celebrate my God has a gun. This is going to be when you celebrate that work. You get to show it off to the world. You get to perform it. I mean, it is a lot of chaos too. I mean, duh, that's a long
Yeah.
list. That's a long to-do list too. But how do you find peace in those moments, like where it does get crazy and the schedule's busy?
Honestly, I, I am such a movie. I'm obsessed with films and TV. Like,
Yeah,
and I love music as well. I love listening to music, but I think that's something I can really switch off and escape. I like to be able to escape in a film or a TV program, and that's why I think I love sci-fi so much,
hmm
horror.
hmm
Um, but and honestly, spending time with people that I love, like
yeah. They
without my
keep you in
phone.
check.
Yeah, exactly. And I think especially this year, I've appreciated that more than ever. Taking my niece to the duck pond and for lunch, and I went and did her makeup. She's only 6. She's called River, and I went and did her Halloween makeup. She thinks I'm dead
Oh,
cool, really cool. She also thinks I'm funny, so I was like, that's all I need to know.
oh,
Um, and just it was something I never used to think it was as important. I'd be like, oh, I'd get stuff to do, I've got work to do, and I made her day. Like she wouldn't stop talking about it, and I had the best time. And I was like,
yeah.
this is what life is about.
Yes. Yeah.
Um, she will
This is
never
what's
forget that.
important.
Yeah, like I'm moaning
Exactly.
about something really fucking like that isn't doesn't matter. Like some of the
Mhm.
things that you worry about, I'm like, this doesn't matter.
Yeah. And
Like,
she's gonna have that core memory forever. That's the kind of aunt
abs,
that yeah, that's the kind of aunt I want to be. I have a
yes.
3-month-old nephew now, and
Oh,
I know by the time, and he's my first one, so I'm an auntie for the first time, and I want that's the kind of thing I want to do for him. What you're talking about right there.
and that's the thing you'll never forget. They never
Yeah.
forget those moments.
Yeah, taking him to shows or taking
Yeah,
him to record stores or something like that. That's what I want to do because he needs to
yeah.
be brought up right with
Oh,
music
you need to
choices.
give them taste. You need to introduce them to a bit of taste.
Exactly, like Vukovi.
Of
Let's start
course.
there.
I mean, let's not wait around the bush.
Not at all. Well, I cannot wait for the album. Cannot wait for the singles that are on the way. I'm sure more badass music videos are coming too. This is going to be a great year. I can't wait to see
Thank
it.
you.
Thank
I
you for
appreciate
being
it,
with me.
Val.
Thank you for hanging out
It's
with me.
lovely to talk to you. It's been a nice little break from
Yeah.
editing and yeah. So it's been lovely to talk to you. And if we are ever in Minnesota,
hmm
you're welcome to come and hang out with us at our show.
Absolutely.
I'd
Just
love
don't
that.
wait a few months though. Wait until like
No, it's
April
not
when it
gonna be.
starts to get
It's not
warmer.
gonna be anytime soon. I think.
Yeah, wait till it's a little bit warmer because right now we're dealing with like two below. So it's
No
this with the wind chill. That's what it feels like. Yeah,
shit.
it's. I
So,
know
do you
it
feel like
started
Minnesota sort of closes? It's quite quiet during those periods of pure winter.
a little bit, but we're still forced to go to work because America. So we
Yeah,
still like we still go to work, but like and they don't take the snow as seriously as other parts of the country would. Like to them, whatever, you can still get to work in the snow. It's mostly flat, like it's
right.
not a big deal. Other parts of the country, depending on where you are and the geography, it is a big deal. And they will close down, literally. Minnesota, not so much. I mean, you might stay inside a little bit more, but you're still kind of expected to
Get on with it.
get on with it, meet your responsibilities.
Yeah, pay
Yeah.
your taxes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, get out there and start paying your taxes.
Yeah, get in there, do what you got to do.
We've got a war to pay for.
God.
Anyway,
Oh, yeah. Who knows what the next 4 years are going to be like.
I really
I'm
feel for you.
we do.
Honestly, it's devastating.
We're scared. I
I
mean,
bet.
we're scared. I'm scared, but the way that I try to tell myself to calm down about it is just that like I did my part in voting at all, and
Yeah,
I know that there's other parts of the world where
yeah,
they don't even get that opportunity. So that's the solace I take in that is that you know what?
absolutely.
Maybe I'm not thrilled with the outcome, but I did my part. I
Yeah,
did
you
what I
did.
could
Yeah,
about the
there's
situation.
like this. I think my mum always talks about this with the suffragettes. She's like, um, you have no idea. Like, well, obviously, that it's the film. There's an amazing film, The Suffragettes. I think it's Meryl Streep.
Probably.
Um, and she was like,
She
if
would
you
take on an
watch,
iconic role like that.
oh, aye. But my mum was like, if you watch that film and realize what they did to get the women
Yeah,
to vote, you would never not vote again.
right. Well,
Um,
50 years ago,
yeah,
American women could not have their own bank
it's
accounts.
crazy, man.
50 years ago. Like that, my parents are old enough to see that. That boggles my mind.
It's
Like my,
terrifying.
it is. It's, woo, uh, I mean, it's a lot, but we have music to get us through.
I
We
was
can
going to
take
say,
solace
and
and
community, and as I said, like-minded people coming together, that's your community. That's your
yeah,
way forward. And
that's it.
helping each other, and yeah, it's a fucking really scary time for
It
everybody.
is. It is.
Um,
Hopefully we come a little closer together in response to that.
I think so.
Yeah,
I think we have the power to fight.
we do. Thank you so much for your time, Janine. I can't wait for everything that's to come.
Me too. It was lovely to chat to you, Val.